Enter Gainesville, Florida in the spring of 1997, and you enter a small southern farm town plunged into the madness of corporate propaganda. The University of Florida's Gator mania grips this tiny community with a fever heightened by the Gators' recent acquisition of the national championship title.
The next Gator Lab experiment will be conducted in the obedience room, located in the center
of the depot in 1 minute.
Dr. Jesse Stoppo, please report to the obedience room as soon as possible. Dr. Jesse Stoppo, please report to the obedience room as soon as possible. Thank you.
A considerable amount of obedience and defiance in everyday life occurs in connection with groups, and we had reason to feel, in the light of many group studies already done in psychology, that group forces would have a profound effect on reactions to authority. A series of experiments was run to examine these effects.
Humans can see the whole forest, and yet count and name the trees.
Welcome, and thank you for visiting the Obedience Room, sponsored by Gator Labs International and the student government of the University of Florida, Gainesville.
Your administrator for this experiment into student obedience will be Dr. Jesse Stoppo.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for visiting the Obedience Room, sponsored by Gator Labs International and the student government of the University of Florida. My name is Dr. Jesse Stoppo. It's good to see so many of you here tonight. And this evening, we're going to be recreating the famous 1969 Stanley Milgram experiment conducted at Yale University entitled Obedience.
Rural America's football mentality has transformed into a social collective. The Gators represent more than a college football team. They are part of a mass ritual complete with corporate financing and merchandising which aims to occupy the imaginations of its fans. The mass ritual, characterized by extravagance and sacrifice, invites its participants to surrender their individual subjectivity to that of the group. In addition to one's individual identity, one also accepts a group identity evoked during the mass ritual with visual iconography, monumental aesthetics, choreographed displays of bodies, military precision, and heroic virtues.
But before I tell you anything more about the experiment, I'm going to require some volunteers from the audience. These volunteers receive a complimentary t-shirt commemorating the 1996 Gator National Championship. Like that.
Gator Labs International, a collaborative ensemble of cultural producers, subsidized its investigation into the collective formation of the Gator identity by requisitioning funds from U.S. student government. The annual operating budget for the student government at the University of Florida is approximately $7 million. This money is generated by the $6.50 activities and service tax levied on every credit hour registered at the university. Gator Labs International received approximately $500 from the College Council of Fine Arts for its spring operating budget.
Psychologists have developed several theories to explain how people learn various types of material.
And one theory is that people learn more effectively whenever they get punished for making a mistake.
A common application of this theory would be when parents spank a child if he does something wrong.
But actually we know very little about the nature of the effects of punishment on learning, because no truly scientific studies have been made to determine how much punishment is best for learning. We don't know, how much punishment is best for learning, or what relationships of punisher and learner are most effective for learning.
So what we're doing in this project is bringing together a number of adults of different occupations and ages, and we're asking some of them to be teachers and some to be learners.
So what we're doing is we're calling people together from similar age groups and occupations, and we're asking some of them to be teachers and some of them to be learners.
We want to find out just what effect different people have on each other as teachers and learners, and also what effect punishment will have on learning in this situation.
One of you to be a teacher and one of you to be a learner. Is that agreeable with you? And the way we generally determine these things is by taking these pieces of paper that I have in my pocket and letting you choose. So there you go.
The restaging of Dr. Milgram's experiment required us to simulate the deception of the experimental subject into thinking that he or she would be administering electric shocks to an unwilling victim. Our performers, planted in the audience, were asked to reenact the spontaneous reactions of the test subjects as if they had actually volunteered from the audience to participate. As in the original experiment, the learner, or the shock victim, was revealed to the subject to be an accomplice of the experimenter only after the experiment had been discontinued. The next Gator Lab experiment will be conducted in the obedience room located in the center of the depot in 9 minutes.
A culture which permits a certain amount of flexibility makes for a more individualistic people. A culture which demands too rigid conformity tends to stifle individual initiative. Thus, the individual himself is shaped by his culture, just as he helps to shape it.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, by the way? All right. Now listen carefully to my words.
The teacher, this man right here, will read you a list of word pairs, such as these: obey law, take form, common purpose, collective identity, and so forth. And your job as the learner is to memorize these word pairs as quickly as possible.
That's incorrect. The correct answer is identity. I will now administer a shock of 15 volts.
We wanted to demonstrate the results of Dr. Milgram's experiment by staging 6 performances during the course of the evening. During these performances, 3 of the teachers, or experimental subjects, refused to administer shocks to the protesting learner, and 3 of them obeyed Dr. Stoppo's commands to follow through with a full punishment regardless of the learner's objections. Our reenactment of this experiment, contextualized by the mise-en-scène of the obedience room, challenged the spectator, the real subject of our experiment, to simultaneously interpret several elements of our metaphor.
Okay, with national pride, anthem, socialism, or champions. The answer, please.
Socialism.
No, that's incorrect. You'll be administered 155 volt shock. Okay.
Whether the learner likes it or not, we must continue with the experiment until she's memorized all the word pair.
No, she said she had a heart problem. I mean, I don't want to push it. You know, I mean, this could be. I don't want to hurt her.
Well, like I said before, teacher, it's essential for the experiment that you continue.
She's shouting. I mean, she wants to quit. I'm not going to shock her anymore.
You have no other choice, teacher.
I refuse to go on. I can't do this anymore. My heart's hurting.
You want the shirt?
Well, hey,
I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to hurt
go on.
Teacher, the shirt isn't the issue, okay? The issue is it's absolutely vital that we continue the experiment until the learner has learned all of the words. You have no other choice.
I have a choice. I refuse. I won't hurt this girl.
Well, if that's the case, then we have to discontinue the experiment.
Well, then you'll have to, you know, because, you know, she knows how much she can take. You shocked me. I didn't like it, okay? Don't do this to her. I'm not going to do it.
Okay,
I refuse.
Sir.
The goal of Gator Labs International is to counteract the tendency of public discourse to obey authority figures, collectivize identity, and aestheticize politics. In order to achieve this goal, the obedience room installation was designed to undermine the formal conventions of the mass spectacle, such as linear narrativity, teleology, and the truth effect, by juxtaposing a multiplicity of visual, performative, and architectural signifiers without clearly explaining or articulating their connections to one another.
Nearly as much money, but the way that it seems to me that these kinds of decisions are rationalized is by aestheticizing the whole, like, all of the politics of it, there's no politics, we're all Gators, and we're all, collectively, involved in this, like, energy of, like, over-expenditure and waste and excess. I mean, like this. I mean, this doesn't particularly look any different than a Gator pep rally that would be at the Bento Griffin Stadium or something.
In 1995, Money magazine cited Gainesville, Florida, as the best place to live in America. 1 year later, America's attention is once again drawn to Gainesville as the University of Florida's football team claims the national championship title. By the spring of 1997, the dominant public discourse is inundated with collective fantasies of utopian ideality. Despite the dominance of Gatormania, however, an alternative critical discourse has emerged to address the fascist aestheticization of politics and the roles and responsibilities of the artist within the public sphere. Gator Labs International, a cultural research ensemble, seeks to mediate these discourses by politicizing the aesthetics of Gainesville's public sphere.